alongside Serum 2. This entire Hard Techno Kick started from Serum 2's Init Preset. No samples, no layers, just Serum 2. Let's build it. This is literally the default preset. The first thing I do is use oscillator A as the main body of the kick. I set the wavetable to a clean sine shape. Then I turn the random all the way down to 0. This is important because I want the kick to hit the same way every time. If the phase is random, the low end can change on every hit. Now I create the first LFO and put it in envelope mode. I map this envelope to the coarse pitch of oscillator A. This gives me the main pitch movement of the kick. Then I create a second LFO, also in envelope mode, and map it to the same coarse pitch control. But this time, inside the matrix, I change the modulation to unipolar. Now I have two separate pitch movements controlling the same oscillator. The first one shapes the main pitch drop. The second one gives me extra control over how that pitch movement behaves. Next, I create LFO3 in envelope mode. I go into the matrix and map it to global main tuning. This creates another fast pitch movement across the entire patch. That extra tuning movement helps create a sharper and more controlled transient. Now I activate the sub-oscillator. I bring it down by 2 octaves. Then I take the same LFO that is controlling global main tuning and map it to the coarse pitch of the sub-oscillator. This makes the sub follow the same transient movement as the main oscillator, so I create LFO4 in envelope mode. This envelope is extremely short, almost just a tiny click. I map it to the level of the sub-oscillator. Now the sub only appears at the beginning of the sound. It is not creating a continuous bass layer. It is creating the transient, just the first impact. Now I activate filter 1. I route only the sub-oscillator into this filter. Then I change the filter routing to direct. This means the sub-transient bypasses the rest of the Serum processing chain. Now I create LFO5 in envelope mode. I map this envelope to the level of oscillator A. This controls the main body of the kick. At this point, the sub is handling the first transient. Oscillator A is creating the body, and the pitch envelopes are shaping the initial impact. Now we move into the FX section. The first effect is a filter. I set this filter to PHS 12-. After that, I add a hard clip distortion and push it all the way up. This is the first stage that starts turning the clean sine movement into a hard techno kick. The filter shapes what enters the distortion, and the hard clip creates the first aggressive layer. Next, I add a reverb. Then I create LFO6 in envelope mode and map it to the reverb mix. The envelope is shaped, so the reverb does not affect the punch. It only appears in the tail. This is important because I want the first impact to stay clean and direct. The reverb is only there to create the rumble after the hit. After the reverb, I add another filter. This time I use PHS 24+. I raise the cutoff, I increase the resonance, I adjust the pan, and I keep the mix around halfway. This filter reshapes the reverb and the body before the next distortion stage. After that, I add a diode 1 distortion. This is one of the most important effects in the entire kick. I change the distortion to pre-mode. Then, instead of using the internal filter as a low pass, I change it to a high pass. so the distortion is removing the low frequencies before the saturation reacts. The drive starts relatively low, and the mix stays around halfway. This stage is what gives the rumble a more punched and defined character. It is not just making the sound louder. Next, I add a multi-band compressor. I bring the threshold all the way down. I increase the below amount. I reduce the mids and highs, and I push the low band much harder. After the compressor, I add a diode to distortion. This adds another layer of saturation after the multi-band compression. Then I add an EQ. I boost the low frequency slightly. Around 200 Hz, I add some body. After the EQ, I add a soft clip distortion. I raise the gain to around 80%. Then I add another soft clip distortion. On this one, I push the gain all the way up. These final clipping stages increase the density and aggression of the kick. Now I add a mid-side splitter. Inside the side section, I add an EQ. I remove all the low frequencies from the sides. After the splitter, I add a utility and activate bass mono. Now I start making the final adjustments. The first major change is on the diode 1 distortion placed before the compressor. This makes the crunch and the rumble feel much more aggressive and punched. This is one of the controls that changes the character of the kick the most. After that, I make small adjustments to the filters and the reverb. These small movements change the tone, the tail, and the amount of rumble without rebuilding the entire patch. To reinforce the transient even more, I activate filter 2. I set it up the same way as filter 1. And this is the final hard techno rumble kick. Nothing is added randomly. Every stage has a specific job. If you want to open this kick inside Serum 2 and study the complete patch, the free download is linked below. And if you want the full Krosper sound design ecosystem, check out the Krosper Ultimate Bundle. It includes presets, racks, generators, kick systems, and production tools made for hard techno, Rawstyle, hardcore, and harder electronic music. Both links are in the description. That's how you turn sound into power.